While following this whole knockout game BS, since doing my video about how I feel about it, I've been reading a lot of reports from a lot of local news from different states about this knockout game. And one of the things that very intrigues me is the fact that it's mostly being done by members of the young black community. Now, how does that make me feel, seeing that I am also a member of the black community? Well, I feel very embarrassed about this. Very embarrassed indeed. Because with this whole thing that's happening, people are now going to associate the words knockout game to blacks now. It's going to get to a point where people are not going to be safe walking the streets when they see a group of black people around. Now, I want to go on record and say that yes, not every black person is playing this game, that other members of other ethnic groups are also doing this sick game. But reports are showing that it's mostly being done by members of the young black community. And that's why I'm actually coming out and talking about this. That how I feel embarrassed. And how I feel that it's making us look bad. That now people are going to associate that when they see a black person walking by, they're going to feel afraid that this guy might punch me or sucker punch me and try and knock me out. Now, with that being said, and how this is hurting the black community, in my opinion, you would wonder, where's Al Sharpton in all this? Where's Jeese Jackson in all this? I mean, we always hear those guys making outcries to racism when it comes to people like Michael Richards saying the N-word at a comedy club, or Don Imus calling basketball players nappy-headed hoes. And not saying that I condone what they say, because it is wrong what they said, but it's kind of funny how those guys would step up to the plate and do an outcry. And it's funny how black people come together and say down with Michael Richards or down with Don Imus, or recently down with George Zimmerman for shooting Trayvon Martin because he's black. It's funny how the black community will come together to fight off against racism, but it's funny that they don't come together to try to bring awareness that the behavior of certain black people is going to reflect all of us as a whole. They don't talk about it, and I don't get why. And it's funny that the media is just as bad for doing this too. And the way I feel, the media, Jeese Jackson, and even Al Sharpton, and a few black people who actually don't speak up on how it's making us look bad, they're making it look like that we're justified for doing this. And I totally disagree. We're justified for doing this because of all the crap we went through years ago. All the racial oppressions, all the slavery that our ancestors went through. Like, seriously, people, do you really think that black people had it that bad when it came to racial oppression? I mean, we seem to forget that Asians, Native Americans, Jews, homosexuals are going through a lot of oppression today. Even back in the day, they went through oppression. Asians went through that. The Irish went through this. Christians went through this. And you're trying to say that black people had it bad, had it worse? Come on. There is no excuse to this game, and people, especially members of the black community, are sucker punching people because they call it a game. There's no excuse for this. It's making us look bad. And I think I'm probably one of the few members of the black community that is stepping up and actually saying that what these kids are doing is wrong, and that what these kids are doing is making our culture look bad. And it gets me so cross that hardly any black people is stepping up to this. That the only time they actually come together is when someone is being mistreated racially, being shot, or someone saying the N-word, or saying nappy-headed hoes. And like I said, it's wrong to say those things, but it shouldn't be the only time when they come together. It shouldn't. And with that being said, you know, this is one of the things I have little to no respect for guys like Al Sharpton, for guys like Jeese Jackson. And dare I say, I haven't heard a thing from Obama, so I'm starting to lose a little bit of respect for him too. That they're letting this go as if, oh, nothing's going on. But I bet that if it was a group of white people doing the knockout game and targeting blacks, you know they will say something. They shouldn't wait till something bad happens to the black community. Because guess what? This whole thing is being bad. Is bad for the black community, and you should be stepping up. But if you're not gonna step up, then guess what? People like Al Sharpton and people like Jeese Jackson and even Obama, if you're not addressing the problem, if you're not trying to be part of the solution, then guess what? You're part of the problem. That's all I have to say.